Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to explain a movie called Brave. The movie takes place in a Scottish kingdom where Queen Eleanor plays with her daughter Princess Merida. As her father comes, King Fergus joins them, giving Merida a short bow and arrow as a birthday present. As she tried firing the target, she missed and went into the woods to retrieve the arrow. After retrieving it, she sees some will-o'-the-wisps, small blue fairies that are said to lead you to your fate. Her father did not believe in magic, so he shunned her. Suddenly, an ancient bear called Mor'du attacks the family. Eleanor and Merida flee while Fergus and his men stay behind to battle the bear. The story cuts to 10 years later when Princess Merida is now sister to 3 tricky boys. However, Queen Eleanor intended to have Merida become a proper, royal, ladylike princess. Merida is determined to seek freedom and live her own life. She enjoys going into the woods with her horse Angus. One day, she returned home to find her father telling her brothers how he had lost his left leg during the battle with Mor'du and vowed to find Mor'du again and avenge his leg. As they all sat to dinner, their maid brought a letter to confirm that the lords of the other clans would be presenting their sons as suitors for Merida's betrothal. Merida was not happy as she was not ready to get married yet, but her mother had made the decision. The day of the betrothal had come. The clans are the Macintosh clan, the MacGuffin clan, and the Dingwall clan, had arrived with their first sons each. After the introduction, the clans get into an argument resulting in a brawl that Queen Eleanor stops. She states that the princess would decide the challenge in which the firstborn of each clan would compete. Merida, hearing this, believes that the idea of the contestants being firstborn is a loophole, so Merida chooses archery. The first 2 contestants lack skill, and Lord Dingwall's son wins by a fortunate mishap. Merida then steps forward with her bow and claims she represents her clan as firstborn and will be shooting to claim herself. Despite Eleanor's objections, she shoots all 3 bullseyes, even splitting Dingwall's son's arrow, supposedly winning the contest. Merida and Eleanor have a falling out, with Eleanor claiming Merida will still have to choose a suitor. Merida slashes the family tapestry in anger, then Eleanor furiously throws Merida's bow into the fireplace and glares at her. Merida runs away on her horse in tears as Eleanor quickly retrieves the bow from the fire in regret. After coming across a circle made of stones, Merida again comes across will-o'-the-wisps. She follows a trail of them to an old hut, where she finds a witch who claims she is nothing but a humble woodcarver because her last customers had some objections to her spells. The witch asked Merida to leave if she was not going to buy a wood carving. In response, Merida said she would buy the lot, trading for a necklace, but said she wanted a spell that would change her fate as well. Merida asks for a spell to change her mother, which she assumes will change her fate. The witch conjures a cake for Merida to give to her mother. On Merida's way out, the witch thinks she forgot to tell Merida something about the spell, but she and her cottage disappear when Merida turns around to ask what the witch is saying. Back in Dunbroch, Fergus is entertaining the lords, while Merida finds Eleanor, who is worried. After a brief conversation, Merida presents the cake to her mother, who takes a bite and immediately feels sick. Merida takes Eleanor to her room, where she rolls off her bed and suddenly transforms into a bear. Merida then told her mom about the witch's spell and that she didn't ask for her mom to be transformed into a bear. Fergus, downstairs in the hall, smells a bear, and he leads the lords upstairs. While Merida tried to get her mom to hide in the process, Maddie, the maid, saw them and ran immediately to inform Fergus. With the help of the young princes Harris, Hubert, and Hamish, Merida manages to distract the clans as she leads the queen out of the castle without Fergus finding them, and she and her mother retreat into the forest back to the witch's cottage. The witch isn't present, but there is a cauldron where the witch appears and leaves a cryptic message for Merida. She tells Merida that the spell will be permanent by willed sunrise unless Merida can mend a bond torn by pride. Merida and her mother exit the cottage and find shelter for the night, wondering how they'll be able to fix the curse. When lightning struck, Merida began to remember the wonderful times with her mother. In the morning, Eleanor has set out a breakfast of some found berries, which turn out to be poisonous, and some water-containing worms. Merida finds a river and takes the time to teach her mother how to catch fish. The two bond, seeing different sides of each other. While in the forest, Eleanor suddenly acts as if she's about to attack Merida, but soon recovers as Merida remarks that her mother is turning into a true bear. They come across some wisps and are led to the ruins of an old castle. Merida falls down a pit into an old throne room which she realizes is the palace of the 4 brothers from Eleanor's story. She finds an old stone engraved with the 4 brothers, but apart from a brother that had been cut off, as when Merida had cut the tapestry of her family earlier. She realizes that the curse has happened before and that the brother who'd gone on his path is now Mor'du. Then Merida is attacked by Mor'du, who lives in ruins, but she escapes with the help of her mother. Merida realizes Eleanor will become like Mor'du, turning into a real bear if they don't break the spell. They travel back to Dunbroch to sew the family tapestry back together, thinking that it will break the spell. To get Eleanor upstairs without being seen, Merida distracts her father and the lords, who are fighting and thinking of starting a war on each other. From the back of the room, unseen, Bear Eleanor uses makeshift sign language to help Merida give a speech that brings the kingdoms back together, in which she states that her mother had rewritten the ways of the kingdoms, that both she and the sons could marry whomever they wanted. All the sons welcomed the news happily. A guard almost notices Eleanor, but Merida immediately asks everyone to go out and celebrate the new rules, leaving Merida and Eleanor to make it up to the tapestry room. While trying to sew the tapestry, Fergus enters his room and finds Eleanor's ripped clothes and broken bed when she turns into a bear. Fergus, believing Eleanor has been murdered, bursts into the tapestry room to tell Merida the news and finds Merida and Bear Eleanor. Eleanor assumes the disposition of a bear and fights with Fergus but recovers again. She is overwhelmed by what she is becoming and the fear of harming Fergus and Merida after she inadvertently scratches her arm. Bear Eleanor accidentally encounters the lords, who start going after her as she retreats from the castle. Merida tries to convince Fergus that the bear is his wife, Eleanor, but Fergus says Merida is talking nonsense and locks her in the tapestry room to protect her. Fergus then sets off with the lords to capture Eleanor while Merida is stuck in the tapestry room. Then she finds that her younger brothers have also been turned into bear cubs from taking bites of the cake. Merida asks them to retrieve the key from their nursemaid Maudie, who has the key. The 3 retrieve the key and free their sister. All 4 ride on Angus while Merida sews the tapestry. They follow the wisps to where Fergus has captured Eleanor and tied her up. Fergus attempts to slay the bear, but Merida defends Eleanor by fighting off Fergus, who still doesn't believe Merida. Then Mor'du encounters Merida and fights off Fergus and all the other soldiers who attempt to kill him. He lunges for Merida but is fought off by Eleanor, who breaks free of the ropes. Mor'du and Eleanor duel each other until Eleanor smashes Mor'du into a rock but wounds Eleanor in the process. Mor'du gets up and is about to attack Merida when a standing stone falls on top of him, and he dies. Merida sees a wisp emerge from Mor'du's body, it apparatus as the brother that had become the bear before fading away. Then Merida rushes over to Eleanor and puts the sewn tapestry on top of the bear just as the sun begins to rise, but Eleanor doesn't turn back into human form. Merida throws herself around Eleanor and reconciles, apologizing for what she had done and told her mother that she loves her. When the sun rises, Merida finds that Eleanor is back in human form, and they both hug. The princes also were back in their human bodies. Merida and Eleanor had made a new tapestry of Merida and Bear Eleanor. The clans settle their arguments and go their separate ways. The movie ends as Merida and Eleanor ride on their horses around Scotland, strengthening their mother-daughter bond. In the post-credits scene, the witches Crow and Magic Broom deliver the wood carvings to the castle, asking a stunned guard to sign the delivery note.